Right, Jesse, it's a pleasure to have you back on the podcast. How you doing?
Hey, how's it going? What's going on, buddy?
Yeah, all good, mate. All good. It's great. It's great to have you back on the show. And I know. Last time when we was on, we like talked about like consumerism and like psychology, because you're very much like involved in like psychology and personal development and marketing and like consumerism. Um, and like I was thinking like today we talked about like how since the pandemic has happened, like people have probably like changed their the way they shop and consume, through like online shopping and all of this and the psychology. Do you have you like seen this, like any trends in this, or have you kind of researched this?
Well, it's interesting because um, I have kind of researched it just kind of like anecdotally, just seeing what's going on. But it's weird because things consistently
Yeah,
evolve, you know. So it's like there's continuously like changing patterns. It seems like there's not like one kind of pattern that's going to happen. I think we're going to see like all kinds of like different like reactions, like very reactionary things. You know what I mean? Like reaction to the initial wave of it, and then reaction to the reaction. So I think things are just going to continuously completely
yeah,
like go back and forth. Maybe.
yeah. And like, when people buying things on online shopping, like, do you think like the pandemics, kind of, because people, do you think less people are gonna shop in like retail stores and that kind of thing? Like, do you think it
Yeah.
kind of way it's been going?
Yeah. Like it was already going that way, right? Before the pandemic even hit, right? Like that was already kind of the thing. So this is definitely, I think, just going to like jumpstart it even more, just give you even more of it, like direction in that direction, like give it a
Yeah,
boost in that direction. It's going to be like even a bigger chunk of people are going to be like, forget it, I'm just going to buy everything online. So
yeah,
again, it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. I mean, who knows really, but all we can do is kind of sit back and watch and see how it unfolds and then try to like figure out from there. But
yeah,
who knows? I mean, really, you might see people kind of go the other way and like crave like to be back in public and want to go back out a lot and kind of make that extra effort to like go buy in a shop now. You know what I mean? Who knows?
yeah.
Mhm.
I think what was really interesting, like when we last spoke as well, was we talked about like how people sometimes, in their how they get influenced into buying, through the soundtrack in the store, and like people being kind of influenced and suggestible.
Yeah. Hmm.
And kind of what kind of got you into like like the psychology side of things, like kind of what kind of drew you to that, and consumerism of like people, how people work.
Yeah. So it's interesting to me. Like it just seems like it's all psychology. Like I was into psychology before consumerism. And then when I learned about the different aspects of psychology, it was like when you see it, it was one of the most like obvious applications of like direct psychology that you see it like directly applied to our daily existence. When I realized it, it was like, wow, it kind of made me look at things in a whole different way, or like I kind of saw it through a different filter, like our whole kind of like method of like going about consuming whatever we consume as this other kind of spin to it, where it's like more like it kind of relates back to again our instinctual whatever, like however you want to describe it. But like, and I never thought about it that way. When I saw it that way, it kind of just was a very impactful thing. Like, wow, I can't believe how much we're really kind of like. I just thought commercials were like these kind of fun, silly kind of like things that you watched when you were a kid and you sing along to. But then you realize, wow, the commercials are like really had a profound effect on my psyche. So
Mm.
just in general, when you see the world through that lens, through that filter, it's kind of interesting place. You realize, like all the things we do are so consumer driven, and even a lot of the things that consume our like daily, our daily thoughts, our habits, or what we put our energy into, like ends up being like a lot of times based on these kind of like consumer behavior
Yeah,
principles. So it's like really kind of like this really odd modern kind of phenomenon, what we buy and stuff like that.
yeah. It's pretty powerful, isn't it? And how the media works, and how how things grab our attention.
Hmm.
To buy something just by watching something, and kind of sticking in your
Yeah.
memory.
Yeah.
I think, especially if like I think the last time we touched base, we talked about like what's it called? Steve Madden. You know, Steve Madden's shoes
Right.
and
Yeah.
like celebrities wearing certain apparel and
Right.
how that draws people in.
Right. Yeah. Everything. I mean, even post COVID, I mean, it's going to be like, I think we were saying it's going to be even more so. I think people are going to be even more so watching what's going on in this kind of like web 2.0, you know, social media world, and then just having direct access to like buying it online through whatever marketplace, and then you just being able to completely like modify their kind of whatever it is, fashion or whatever it is, to be exactly how they, you know, you can buy exactly what you're looking for and you don't have to like leave your house. So it's, you know, I think post COVID, I think things are going to continue to go in that trend. It's going to be interesting. Again, it's going to be really interesting to see how much like how things bounce back when they do bounce back, like how much things go back to the way before, if they kind of tend to like stay more towards the direction that it seems, you know, this direction that's going in, you know.
Yeah.
I don't think things are going to go back to the way were they before 100%. Like I think those days are kind of like gone. Like, you know, like whatever it was before, the percentage wise people shopping in stores, I think those days are like going to be a thing of the past, you know. Like I think it's going to be largely
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, that's it. And I noticed like I won't go off topic too much, but you know, like video games and the price of video games, because more people, you know, during like lockdown or you know, more at home, more with families. So like I know like the video game console prices skyrocketed, even for like you know the normal. I saw people on eBay selling PlayStations for like a stupid price, you know, like more than you would get them new
Oh,
sometimes.
really? Oh, is that right?
Because you know, like people, you know, at home, you know, they're probably working from home, spending more time at home. So you see, I've seen things increase in price dramatically on, you know,
Exactly.
unexpectedly as well.
Yeah. I mean, it's, again, I think it's gonna be something like across the board. Entertainment, everything's just being like, you know, the products are being geared towards that kind of direction where everything's going to be, you know, um, home entertainment, just like a complete, you know, whatever is like that helps that kind of like drive, that is going to be the new norm, you know. Whatever drives that kind of like not having to gather is, you know, it seems like it's going that direction. But yeah, it's like everyone just depends on Netflix and whatever they can do from home,
Disney
basically.
Plus.
Yeah, whatever it is, right? You know, home entertainment, you know. Yeah, so it's gonna be interesting to see what happens.
Yeah, because I was talking to my friend, and it was talking about like when Blockbuster was open, and like the experience of going to meet your friends and then going to
Yeah.
pick a movie and then like watching it. And I remember I would forget to return the film sometimes, so then you get fined like an extra £10, and you'd be like, oh.
Yeah. How long did Blockbuster last in the UK? Like in the
Gosh,
what years did it close?
I'll have to research it to find out
Yeah.
properly, but I remember being a teenager. I must have
Yeah.
been 15,
Yeah.
16 years old. Yeah.
Right.
16, 17. About 10 years ago, I think.
Okay. Okay. So I think I get the sense they lasted longer maybe in the UK than they did here, because blockbusters are like a thing of the past, like long time ago, you know, like people haven't done that in a long time. But yeah, blockbusters were great. Yeah, my mom used to I used to like do the whole like overcharged, like you know, you end up owing them like $50 or something like that, or something
Yeah.
like, you know, crazy.
Could you forget?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like for some like
Yeah.
$4 video or something like that. I actually
Yeah.
collect like DVDs now, just because I like the like all the extras and stuff like that. So you can get them like really cheap now. So it's like I always get these like old like Blockbuster, like you see Blockbuster on the back, and like get them for like $1 or
Really?
something like that. Yeah, yeah.
That's
I like
insane.
yeah, I like DVDs still. They're fun because you get all the
Yeah.
like bonus extras and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. DVDs still sell. I mean, this is what I think we could talk about. Like people have gone from like say video to DVDs, and then you can people like consuming, you know, like Netflix and on demand, because it's quick and you can do it wherever. But like it's interesting to see, as you mentioned, like with consumerism, people now in the 21st century is still buying, still buying DVDs and CDs.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think they definitely have their value. I think it's so weird because even though we're getting pushed in this digital direction, I think there's still like a desire to have like on some level, like, okay, I have the CD in my hand or the DVD,
Yeah,
like there it is. Like I can play it when I want. Like if the internet goes, I don't know, it's just some kind of, because they still have value. They still have like worth, you know what I mean? They still have like, they still have something cool about them. Like you can use them, you know, like
yeah,
anything else. So it's like, I don't think people aren't as like ready to give up like the physical things as people as it kind of seems that they were. Like I think people are gonna hold on to these old like CDs, DVDs, or whatever technology that is that kind of is like physical. I think there's still this kind of, again, back to the psychology of it. I think there's this
yeah,
kind of like innate like um kind of thing in humans where for hundreds of thousands of years we were used to having the physical thing in our hand, whatever. I mean, not obviously not
yeah,
CDs or something like that, but whatever it is physical, you can touch it, and here it is. And all of a sudden, it's going just from that to a digital thing where it's like conceptually it's different. So, I think maybe
yeah.
humans will enjoy having that physical thing, just because it has some kind of like, you know,
Like
like
kind
like
of,
normalcy.
yeah. No, I think that's a good point. And it's like I play video games. It's like I still buy, the CDs, the game cases. Like there's a
Right.
whole marketplace. I can buy them, straight away, and it gets downloaded. But I still sometimes like, as you mentioned, like to have that, physical copy of
Yeah.
of something if you like it, or a
Yeah.
box set, like a box set kind of thing.
Right. 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 Like, again, I've been collecting like, just old CDs because you can buy like booklets now for like, a couple bucks. People
Hmm.
just like don't want them anymore. So you get like these great old collections and you get cool stuff. So it's kind of like my own version of like I don't know, like just kind of flea market type behavior, like buying, where I'm buying people's old secondhand stuff. It's kind of cool, relicy stuff, But
Yeah,
I enjoy them, and I get CDs that I would have never thought of buying or that weren't in my kind of like kind of my normal like what I normally listen to. So it's like I get like it's
yeah,
cool, you know what I mean? So that's another thing. It's like the physical thing is like something when you have it, it's just a different experience than like being able to like digitally play a song. If you have to physically put on an album or CD or something like that, it's like you're more likely to like listen to it instead of turning it off and
yeah.
forgetting about it, because you have it there. It's there to remind you to play it. So
I
um
think I think what you mentioned, like with that, like I mean, I think I mentioned to you like Joey Diaz. He's a comedian. He
yeah, I
talked
know Joey.
about
Yeah, yeah,
yeah, he talked about like when he was a teenager, he would like go to the store and he would like have a drink and stuff, and he'd get Led Zeppelin records and Pink Floyd, and he said
yeah.
he said it was about the experience. He said you get it out, you take it out, you've
Right,
got the physical record,
right.
and there's you got a book with it, you can look at it, and, putting it on there and actually physically doing it to play it, and it's about that experience, isn't it? And I think with, like you said, just by clicking a button and pressing things, you're
Right,
taking away that experience.
right. Because there's so much more involved. I mean, music is a very specific thing. Like CDs, buying CDs, is very specific. But in that example, there's so much more involved than just the audio, whatever the audio enjoyment. Listening to the song, it's like you have the artwork involved. You have the olfactory, the smell of like the CD. I remember like literally, I'm old enough to remember CDs. I remember the smell of CDs is like something's cool. You'd be like open a new CD and like whether it was glossy paper or whatever, it was like he was always just kind of feel of the paper and smell and like the art. It was just a cool experience. So not everything is
Yeah,
like reduced to like such simple, replications of like, oh, we can listen to it online or whatever. But it's like, and then again, like the generation before me that was more into like record vinyl and stuff like that. There's still a huge demand for that, but it's always a niche. You know what I mean? There's always gonna be people like that. I think, of course, the easier thing to do is just hit play on your iPhone or whatever and play whatever freaking song in the world that you want. But
yeah,
but if you have access to like a record player, for instance, and I still have friends that like are into vinyl and love record players and have like a huge massive vinyl collection. and they enjoy it, and they kind of like, it's a whole different experience than just playing a song. Like they'll sit there and just like really like kind of like absorb the whole experience of like that record, like playing the record, the ritual of like putting it on. And so I think a lot of these things have like what's the word, like touch,
Tactile, yeah.
Tactile, right? Kind of, sensations involved, where it's more than just the, immediate sensation of whatever, listening to music or whatever. It's like there's also that sense of like everything else involved. So I think that's going to go a long way when it comes to consumerism and how people buy. We'll see. I think everything's a reaction to the thing that happened before that. So maybe people react to this new purchasing patterns by going back to old school. We'll see. It's going to be interesting how it plays out.
It's definitely an interesting topic, isn't it? I was just about to say something. It's like with music. I got into like Jimi Hendrix and some of his songs, and you heard like Jimi Hendrix and his music,
yeah.
And it just blows me away. And it's like,
right.
like I've never had a record player before, but like I did see recently like records surpass CDs, and for like I think the first time in however long, like people buying like more records now, and they're more in. But
that makes sense. I mean, if you know anything about sound and music, I mean, records are according to the experts or whatever, are the best way to listen to audio, like because of like the physical aspect of the recording, like the actual physical needle on the wax, and that sound is like more saturated than the digital version that you're hearing, or even the CD version, so so it makes sense that people it makes sense that people still like the records. It's like still the best way to listen to music, like just dollars to dollars.
But I think as well, what's interesting, like when you talk about consumerism, like how even though like we live in the 21st century, like there's a lot of old, like a lot of old vintage things are very like popular, and they're very in now, especially like vintage clothing.
Right. Even even like when people like people's homes, like people like to use a lot of like rustic whatever, like wooden, like these people still want the inside of their homes to feel like a home, like not some kind of like simulated kind of like piece of plastic. People like enjoy the old crafts, the wooden whatever, wooden cutting chopping boards, or whatever it might be, or fireplaces, or whatever it is. You can bring a bit of that old kind of like our old brain back into like this modern society. People, I think, so it goes across the board. It's like the things we consume, we have that craving, I think, for that kind of again, things that existed thousands of years ago in our ancestral past, as they call it. So it's like we're still going to crave those things. It's just kind of wired into our DNA. So it's like, as much as we move into this digital age, we're always going to have that drive to have kind of like a part of our old the way we lived 1,000 years. Just the same reason why like things like Western, I don't know if you know what Westerns are, if that's a term that's
like the Western movies, you mean?
Right, like it's like the Western, it was like a whole frontier. It was like beside the movies, the actual like the last frontier, it's like where life was this whole other simpler. People were living in it's just a different, but that's more close to how we live for thousands whatever years. So it's kind of the way we are almost built to live. So this whole move away from that, people still kind of cling to that. You know what I mean? People still like to get as much of that as they can. Like you see in the nicer homes that have like they go out of their way to have like the rustic, this or that. You know what I mean? Or whatever you can do.
Like the kind of like the simplicity, like minimalistic, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not really like a home decor guy, but like when they do like these big wooden, everything's like wooden, like these real expensive, like
mahogany
dining tables for thousands. Yeah, mahogany, exactly, right, exactly. I don't know if that's a reference to like what's his name, Anchorman,
but
yeah. But you know, no, that's exactly it, right? Like, hold on 1 second.
So you got to call.
That's exactly it.
Fine.
No, yeah, people go back to that kind of like exactly mahogany, you know, like big wooden dining tables that are like thousands of dollars, a big cut from this huge, you know,
Yeah.
oak tree or something like that. Like these, you know, people love that kind of stuff. So it's like, I don't think we can ever really fully get rid of that, or it's gonna be, you know, it has its kind of lasting, you know, effects on us. You know, we're always gonna
Yeah.
enjoy that, you know.
It's funny you talk about it like that because I agree, and I think, like for example, I was on a walk with with my family, and my mum likes you know, like slabs of wood, you know, for like decorate, like we talk about like decorations in the garden, that kind of thing.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
I found this big massive like chunk of like a railway sleeper, like a big solid bit of wood on the
Mhm.
beach. And I said to her, I was
Mhm.
like, "Oh, do you like that?" And she was like, "Yeah." So I carried it back, and it's just a big chunk of wood. And my mum's got it in the garden, you know, with like a bird feeder on top or something like that.
Right.
But
Yeah.
you've been like you're talking about like these like simple things, you know, kind of go back, but it's nice that people can kind of appreciate things like this. Do you know what I mean? And they don't have to have all the latest gadgets or kind of home decor. It can be like original.